How's it going, guys? Finally got my hands on a Ruger LC9 to give you guys a quick little review of it. This actually happens to be the NRA edition. We've got this kind of camo style polymer. We've got the NRA logo right there at the top. Just a neat little pistol. We're kind of in a golden era of concealed carry right now. We've got a lot of different options to choose from. We have the LC9, we have the Shield, we have Tauruses, we have all these different slim, lightweight 9mm that we have to carry. We now have Springfield, we have the XDS, which is that 45 small version. You know, it's just great. We've got all these different guns to choose from, and that makes it a really nice market for us. This is just going to be a quick little review of the LC9. I just want to kind of show you the gun, show you a little bit of shooting with it, and I'm going to compare it a little bit with the Shield as we go along here. Right off the bat, I want to tell you some of the things I do not like about this pistol. Some of the things that's kind of prevented me from actually getting one up to this point, and that is that the LC9, Ruger has really made this a safety-laden pistol. There's just a ton of safety features, and to me, I think they've overdone it in the safety arena. Although, you know, some people would argue with me on that. One of the biggest downsides to this gun, I think, is the magazine disconnect. It's been safety checked. There's nothing in it. But one of the things that I don't like about this gun is the fact that it has that magazine disconnect. You cannot pull the trigger if the magazine is out. And I really don't think that it does anything for you in the way of making the gun safer. It does have a nice positive safety, thumb safety on there. It's just one-sided on the left side. It is very positive, so I don't think you'd have a hard time running the gun with the safety off. I don't think you'd have much of a chance of inadvertently putting the safety on. So along with the thumb safety, we have the magazine disconnect. We also have a loaded chamber indicator, which I don't think is a big deal. It does kick up a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of brass inside the chamber right now, just so you guys can see what it looks like when it's up. Alright, just with an unloaded piece of brass in there, you can see that thing actually pops up quite a bit. I don't think it's going to really snag, and I don't think it's going to cause you any problems, but some people don't like that. I don't think it's a big deal. It is kind of nice to be able to just kind of go up and index off of that so you know that the gun is loaded. Okay, the other downside to this gun, which is really the deal killer for me, is the trigger. And that is that it is a very long double action only trigger pull. So if we start right from here, which we do have a generous opening in the trigger guard, which is nice. So you can you could easily shoot this gun with gloves on and whatnot. But as we start the trigger pull, it comes all the way back and then breaks right at the end. As you can see, it's right up against the frame. Now, let's show you the reset here on it. Now there's two little clicks. This was kind of the downside to this trigger, is that you bring it out and you hear that first click, right? Okay, that is not the trigger reset. See, you can't pull it back any further, but it's not the trigger reset. You have to come out a bit further, and that's where you hear that second click, and that is the triggered reset on it. The one thing I find is that even with small hands like I have a hard time bringing that trigger all the way back easily until it breaks. So I have to bring it all the way back, and the way I shoot, I have a really hard time doing that without doing it with the pad of my finger. I almost have to shoot it with my first knuckle in order to get a comfortable trigger pull, because it breaks so far back against the frame. So the trigger really is the biggest downside to this gun. Now, the actual trigger pull itself is very smooth. It has a nice light trigger up until about right there, and then it gets a little heavier, and that's when it breaks. So you can stage the trigger when you're target shooting, but you're never ever going to stage a trigger when you're using it as a defensive pistol. So that really doesn't help you much. But to its credit, it is a very smooth double action trigger pull. So, like I said, guys, the trigger is really, to me, the deal killer for this gun. But for others, it might not be a big deal, and it really is a smooth double action trigger pull, so it might not bug you too much. Now, the magazine capacity is 7+1, okay? And it does come with an extension on the magazine. You can take this off so it just is a flush-fitting mag as well. But on this particular one, we have the extension on it, which I don't really find it to be a big deal. I don't find having my finger, my pinky off the grip makes me shoot any less accurate either. So I don't feel like that gives you any more control. But to some people, it might feel a lot more comfortable to you. The texturing on the grip is very effective. I think you have some really good usable texturing on the front part of the grip here, and I really do think that it helps you keep control of the pistol. The one downside I find to Rugers, though, is that I find that there are some hot spots in their grip. I've found that with the SR9. I've also found that with the LCP, that it just the plastics they use is a bit harder, and it tends to give really sharp angles. And I can tell those hot spots when I'm shooting. Along this ridge right here in the front is definitely a hot spot for me, and I can feel it. I can feel it biting into my hand. But it's not a deal killer. It just doesn't make it make as comfortable a shooting gun as it could be, I think. Now, moving on up to the sights, we have the 3-dot Novak style sights. There's nothing really to complain about with the sights on them. They tend to be very low snag sights, as well as give you a very good sighting picture as well. The gun is a hammer fired gun. You can see the hammer in there as we go to pull it. It is hammer fired. It's not a striker fire like the Shield. It does not offer double strike capability though, so it's like a double action only, but it functions more like a striker fire, although it is a hammer fired pistol. The weight on the gun is very good. It's just coming in at just over 17 ounces, so it's going to be a very nice and comfortable pistol to carry. All the controls are not ambidextrous, so that might be a downside to your left-handed shooters. I did find that using the slide stop as a slide release is very difficult with this pistol. It's very hard to press down, and you're going to end up using the slide to drop it, because that is not working. It doesn't really function as a slide release on this pistol. It's really slim, coming in at just under an inch at 0.9 inches. So that's really, anybody that does a lot of concealed carry knows that that's the dimension that really matters. Not really the length of the pistol, the height does matter, but the width matters as well. You'll feel every little tenth of an inch on that slide when it's in the waistband for sure. Okay, I'm going to show you the breakdown the procedure for the LC9, because it is a bit more complex. Okay, let's do the takedown procedure. First thing you want to do is make sure that the gun is unloaded and drop the mag. Then you're going to drop the slide, and what you're going to do is this little button right here needs to be depressed against the slide. So go ahead and just depress it down just like that. And then, as you can see, you have a little bit of a half moon cut out, and that's concealing a pin inside of there. What you need to do is bring the slide back just a hair so that half moon cut lines up. And then you need to turn the pistol over, and there's a little slot right here that you put something in, a pencil or something like that, and push the pin out there, the takedown pin. Remove the takedown pin, and what that does is allows you just to slide the slide right off. Okay, what we have is we have a dual recoil spring, but it is not captured. Then we have our barrel and our slide, and that is essentially the takedown procedure for the LC9. But let me show you the internals here. What we have on the inside is we have this metal chassis set inside the Palmer, and we have a full-length rail on that. There you can see our hammer fired. Very simple mechanism, so you're probably not going to see a lot of problems with it. Looking down inside, you can see the mainspring as well down in the handle. Here's a look at the slide. Pretty standard. Everyone has seen a slide before. Barrel. Very reminiscent of the LCP for sure. Alright, let's go ahead and put it back together. Put our slide back on, and we have to line up that hole. Put our pin back in there. Make sure it's seated all the way in. Lift our gate back up. function test. Good, we're back in action. All right, so let's go ahead and show you a comparison with this and the shield. So let's bring the shield in here. You can see that overall the shield, let me show you from the side here. The shield is just a tad bit longer overall length than the LC9. They're about the same in width. I don't think there's really any notable difference. They both measure about 0.9 inches wide. Overall height is about the same. You do see a little bit of protrusion, a little bit lower with the extension on the mag of the LC9. Although this has the flush-fitting magazine in it, you do have a +1 extension that comes with the shield, which would make it about the same overall height. Where they both function very, very similarly as a striker fire. This is a hammer fire, this is a striker fire pistol. Just show you the difference in their sights. They're both 3-dot sights, and they're both kind of Novak style sights. I do actually prefer the sighting picture on the shield a little bit more because it tends to be a bit more precise. Also on the shield, they have a kind of like a little texture on the back that cuts down on glare. I don't think you really need that on a sight of this size, on a gun of this kind. But it is a little bit more of an attention to detail, which I find to be really good with the Smith & Wesson. Anyway, I'll show you guys some footage of shooting both of these guns so that you can kind of see them back to back. You know, they're very, very similar. If I had to choose one over the other, I would definitely take the shield just because it's striker fired. The trigger is better. The sights are a bit better. They weigh about the same. You're not getting any advantage in barrel length over one over the other. The shield also has an 8+1 magazine, but capacity-wise, they're pretty well even. Overall, though, I think that you would be well served with both of these, but I would definitely prefer the shield over the LC9, but I don't think that you can really go wrong with the LC9. There's just a few of the downsides that I mentioned previously. The biggest of those being the trigger is not what I prefer, but it is something that you can practice with, that you could get good at, and I don't think it would really hinder you in accuracy or a self-defense situation. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave your comments or questions down below. Don't forget to hit the like button if you do like what you see. Also, don't forget to share the video with your friends. It does help the video out, and it does help our channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And as always, guys, thanks very, very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya. So we're going to be doing some water storage preps today. We've got our drinking water safe hose that we're going to use to fill up our 55-gallon drums. We have our wrench, and we're going to be using just standard household non-scented bleach. We've got our 4 55-gallon drums here. We're going to go through and show you how we're going to go ahead and treat our water.